What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Curated, a podcast about life and the melodies that make it all worthwhile. Welcome to the soundtrack of self-discovery. Y'all, we're gonna do that one more time, okay? What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Curated, a podcast about life and the melodies that make it all worthwhile. Welcome to the soundtrack of self-discovery. I am so happy that you've all decided to join today. Let me tell you something, okay? Look at that. So I'm currently in the lounge area of my apartment building. For anybody watching the episode, which you can, YouTube, Spotify, you can catch the episode through video. If you're listening to it, some of this might not make any sense to you, but every time I've started a podcast episode, at least for like the last 3 or 4, I've been in a different area, sitting in a different area, because I've been trying to find a good spot to record these episodes from. This seems to be like a nice little spot. There's an echo, but the biggest thing and the most awkward thing is that I'm out here with the fucking fat ass ring light next to their big ass windows. Cars just passing by, people with their fucking dogs. The mailman is out here. Like, it's a little awkward. And I'm sitting right across from the door where people are constantly going in and out of the apartment building. So, like, yes, this shit is a little awkward. But is it a better vibe? I like to think so, right? It just looks a little better than, sitting in my dark ass room. So we're going to try it out. If the echo, if all of the messiness from around me is annoying to you all, is bothering you all, let me know. We can change the scene. I'm just trying to figure out better spots to be recording this, and this might be a good one. I feel like I look cool out here, so we'll see. I don't tend to talk about what I'm going to talk about in today's episode often, if not at all. When I first started making Curated, this podcast was mainly focused around music. Then it kind of shifted towards about life. Then it kind of shifted towards talking about creativity and being in creative spaces, talking to amazing creative people. I don't tend to talk about politics, but here's the deal. The world feels heavy right now. I can't get on any form of social media without feeling like this country is taking several fucking steps back. I know I don't have many followers. I know I don't have many listeners, but in whatever medium we are most comfortable in, I think we should all, at this moment in time, feel the need to advocate for what is right. Because we should not just be sitting here and witness oppression. We should be the resistance. So in today's podcast episode, I want to spend this time talking about what is happening in this country and why it matters, but spend some time also sharing resources for education. I will be spending some of this episode talking in Spanish to share some of this information with folks who are Spanish speaking. So I encourage you all to share this if you find value in it with somebody who may find the information helpful. I am by no means, and let me put this out there right here, right now, a politician, okay? But I am a child of immigrant parents who worked their fucking asses off to better a life for themselves and for me in this country. Right now, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's a lot of anger. And all of those feelings are valid. But what we cannot do and what we won't do is let that fear silence us, separate us, or make us believe that we are powerless, because we sure the fuck are not. Latinos and immigrants in this country have always had to fight for dignity, for space, for safety. We have built this fucking country, raised its children, worked its fields, designed its cities, shaped its culture, and yet time after time again, we are told that we don't belong. But we do. So what I want to do is I want to spend some time talking to you all about the reality that we're facing, what is happening, and why it matters. What's happening right now, and I need you all to get this shit through your head, is no longer just about politics. It's about sending a message about making us feel small, scared, and unwanted. But here's the thing. We have been here before, and every time they have tried to erase us, we have found ways to rise. What I want to do first is give you all an overview of the current events and policies that have been impacting Latinos and immigrants in this country. So send this shit to your friends so they can catch the fuck up on the mess that this literal first month of the year has been. And again, I am not a fucking politician, so don't come after me if I'm getting some of these details wrong here. I've done as much digging as I can to make sure that I'm getting the right information out to you all. Fact checked my ass a couple of times here, but I am not a fucking politician. Now I want to talk to you all about what's been happening, okay? The first thing that I want to talk about is the executive orders on immigration. Trump has issued orders increasing border militarization. ICE raids in sensitive locations have started to happen, and there has been mass deportations. There has been deportation rates, especially in sanctuary cities like Chicago. ICE is targeting those cities like Chicago that is causing just fear and economic decline in Latino communities. There has been the attempt to end birthright citizenship. A federal judge blocked Trump's order to revoke birthright citizenship, calling it unconstitutional, which in fact it is. And despite the strict policies and frankly dumbass policies, some Latinos support Trump still due to the economic priorities and political diversity that they think he's gonna bring. I don't know what the fuck these people are on, but this whole Latino for Trump's thing has been one of the dumbest things that I've seen come out of this election. I need you all to just take a step back real quick. And from an ethical perspective and moral perspective, just really think, do you all still want to give this man your support, given everything that he has done? The mathing with y'all, honestly. From all this shit, many people are starting to feel this heightened anxiety about their space in America, about their place, their safety, because of the stricter enforcement and rising anti-immigrant sentiment. But I want y'all to keep this shit in mind, okay? We are not just victims of oppression, we are the resistance, we are architects of change, and we won't sit back and watch as our people suffer. The historical patterns of oppression show us that fear is used as a tool to control, and once you all get that shit through your head, once you all realize that that is exactly what is happening, then take a step back, take a deep breath, and realize that we do not need to cave into that fear. AOC went on live recently a couple of days ago, and the very first thing she was telling everybody watching was to chill the fuck out, to take a step back. We can't take action unless we ourselves are at a good place to understand what is happening, educate ourselves, so that we can approach things with directive and with a clear head. I want to spend a few minutes now talking about how we can defend ourselves and the rights that we have. Awareness is key to taking action. If you or someone you know is at risk, you have to make a plan. Keep documents in a safe place, have emergency contacts ready, know who to call if something happens. Fear thrives in confusion, so let's make sure that we arm ourselves with as much knowledge as we can. It's going to seem like with all the unrest, the constant changes to policy, the attacks on our people, and the fact that every TikTok I watch and at every corner we turn, we're being left with a constant sense of anxiety that there isn't anything that we can do. But there are ways to help. One, and probably one of the bigger ones, is by helping protect our communities against searches and arrests by federal immigration agents. Another is by ensuring that our state officials are not complicit in unjust federal policies. Give them a fucking call. Did you all know you can hit them up? Because you can. Attend the fucking rallies. Attend the protests in your cities. But one of the simplest ways to help is to ensure that you and the people around you are being taken care of. Check up on those who are most vulnerable to what is going on. Educate those around you. But remember, like I said, fear thrives in confusion. So get your facts straight. Protect yourself from the noise that is out there. And like I said, make sure that you're also helping educate those around you who are most vulnerable. You may have uncles, you may have friends, you may have close family relatives who are undocumented, who speak Spanish, who don't understand the policies and don't understand what is going on. Get them educated, have them understand the rights that they have. Because trust me, being an individual in this country who is not English speaking, you live in constant fear of anybody who is in authority, of policemen, of these federal agents. So spending some time with them to help them understand that they have rights and what they need to do is important. Now, what I want to do is I want to share with you all, and this is where I'm going to need you all to pay close attention to, is some tactical information about the rights that you have in any of the following situations. If ICE or law enforcement comes to your house, know this: they cannot enter without a judicial warrant signed by a judge. Signed by a judge is key here. If they knock, do not open the door. Ask them to slide that warrant under the door or show it through a window. If it's not signed by a judge, you can refuse to let them in. You do not have to speak to them or answer any questions. You can say, "I do not wish to speak with you without a lawyer present." 2. If you are stopped in public, you have the right to remain silent. You can refuse to answer questions about your immigration status. You can ask, "Am I free to go?" And if they say no, you can say, "I am exercising my right to remain silent." Now, if you are arrested or detained, do not sign anything without speaking to a lawyer. Request a lawyer immediately and memorize the phone number of a trusted person or lawyer. If you are undocumented, if you are in a vulnerable situation like this, you have to know you have rights. No one can enter your home without a warrant. You do not have to answer questions from ICE, and there are organizations that are ready to fight for you. I'm going to say these things now in Spanish, so for anybody listening, or in case anybody wants to share this episode with family or friends, I'm about to share this information in Spanish as well. Si ICE o la policía llega a su casa, no pueden entrar sin una orden judicial firmada por un juez. Si tocan la puerta, no la abra. Pídales que pasen la orden por debajo de la puerta o que la muestren por una ventana. Si la orden no está firmada por un juez, usted puede negarse a dejarlos entrar. No tiene que hablar con ellos ni responder preguntas. Puede decir, "No deseo hablar con ustedes sin un abogado presente". Si lo arrestan o detienen, no firmen nada sin hablar primero con un abogado. Solicite un abogado de inmediato. Memorice el número de teléfono de una persona que confía o de un abogado. Debes saber esto. Tienes derechos. Nadie puede entrar a tu hogar sin una orden judicial. No tienes que responder preguntas de ICE sin un abogado. Hay organizaciones listas para luchar por ti. Now, I want to talk about some of these organizations that are there and ready to help. One of those is the National Immigration Justice Center, or the NIJC. Their mission is to ensure human rights protections and access to justice for immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers. The services that they offer are legal representation, policy advocacy, and impact litigation. You can contact them by visiting immigrantjustice.org. The second is United We Dream. Their services are providing resources on DACA, deportation defense, and educational access. You can contact them by visiting unitedwedream.org. The fourth is the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. Their mission is to advocate for immigrant rights and foster a society that values the contributions of immigrants. The services that they offer are legal services, community education, and policy advocacy. You can visit them at chirla.org. The next is the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants, or the USCRI. They provide legal, social, and health services to refugees, unaccompanied migrant children, trafficking survivors, and other immigrants. They operate throughout nearly 200 affiliates across all 50 states. And you can find them by visiting refugees.org. Last one is the National Immigration Law Center. They're dedicated to defending and advancing the rights of low-income immigrants. Their services are to engage in policy analysis, litigation, education, and advocacy. And you can visit them at nilc.org. Being informed is the first step towards being protected. Fear, again, thrives in confusion, so let's make sure we arm ourselves with knowledge. I want to talk a little bit about just the power of community and how we must understand that we are stronger together. Community is our greatest strength. Fear isolates us, and this is why unity is that antidote. There are ways to build support networks both online and in person. You can join or form groups that check in on each other, that share resources. Mutual aid networks can help provide food, shelter, legal assistance. One of the things that AOC was also speaking about when she went live was the fact that we can't all act on every single thing that we're hearing out there in the news. But once we build this community, once we start to disseminate that information amongst each other, we can all dedicate ourselves to learning, becoming experts, and tackling different areas. And that could help us just become less overwhelmed about what's happening. You all can also follow, share organizations that provide immigration support, raise awareness about real stories, humanize the fucking struggle that is happening, y'all. Realize that this is, again, no longer about politics, but about human rights. Attend those fucking rallies, those meetings, those community events. Support immigrant-owned businesses during this time because, trust me, y'all, they're scared about their livelihood, but they also need the financial help to ensure that they can get a lawyer behind them. If we commit ourselves to supporting these smaller immigrant-owned businesses, trust me, y'all, we can make not only a financial impact for them, but also just a broader impact around what's happening. Fear isolates us, and isolation weakens us. And that's why we have to build strong communities, because when we stand together, we are impossible to ignore. Find your people, support your neighbors. If you see someone struggling, reach out. If you feel alone, I promise you there is someone out there who will stand by you. And for those who are documented, those of us who have that privilege, this is our time for us to use it. Speak up, show up, and make space for those who cannot. Reiterate that they want us to believe that we are guests in this country, but history tells us a different story. We are not just here, we have been here, and we will continue to be here. The best way to fight back is to stay informed, like I said, learn about policy, but about history as well, about who is making decisions that affect our people, and then use that knowledge to challenge, to vote, to organize. I want to throw for you all some facts about what this Latino community has done. Gross domestic product, or GDP, in the Latino had reached $3.7 trillion back in 2022, which made it the highest level since tracking began. This positions the US Latino economy as the fifth largest globally, surpassing countries like India and the United Kingdom. In 2023, Hispanics comprised 19% of the US civilian labor force, totaling 31.8 million individuals. In 2023, Latinos accounted for 36% of new businesses in the US, nearly double their representation in the overall population. Latino-owned businesses experienced a median compound annual growth rate of 8.7%, outpacing the 5.6% growth rate of white-owned businesses from 2020 to 2023. I want to close by sharing some concrete steps about what we can do to take that fear that we may have and turn it into fuel. But before that, I do want to say this. The way that I know how to advocate for action is through the mediums I'm most comfortable in. And to me, that is creativity, and that is this platform. Art has always been a powerful form of protest, but right now it feels more necessary than ever. It's a way to make a statement, to give voice to the unheard, and to challenge the systems that silence them. That's why I'm working on a project. We're going to call it the Print Project for now. Its purpose is to showcase the work of artists from marginalized communities spanning different backgrounds and mediums in a collective piece that stands as both art and activism. I can't do this alone. One, because I'm new to this space and I'm trying to figure out how to compile this together. But if you're an artist, a creative, or somebody who wants to help bring this to life, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love for you all to get involved. Whether that means donating a piece of work, or collaborating on the curation, or helping put it all together. Like I mentioned, I'm also not a designer, but I am a marketer, and more than anything, I'm someone who believes in uplifting the voices that deserve to be heard. I'm figuring this out as I go, but the goal is simple. I want to release this print by the mid of this year and donate all the proceeds to nonprofit organizations fighting for the causes that we've talked about today. This is how I believe I can make an impact. This is my way of turning my passion into action. And so I hope that some of you all will hear this and join me. Please DM me, send me an email. I'd love to collaborate. I want to close this out by reiterating some of the things that I mentioned about what you can do. Support those immigrant-owned businesses. Volunteer, donate to the organizations that are helping our communities. Make sure that you're helping others, stay educated and engaged about what's going on, that you're educating yourself. Just realize that there's also the importance of just having hope and persistence about what's going on. This shit is not going to get any better. I know that. So we have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and we're taking care of the people around us. to make sure that we can act on what's going on. I'm going to this out by saying this. Fear is real. Those feelings that you have about uncertainty, about anger, sadness, confusion, they're all real. But so is the power that we have, and power is built through action. I'm going to need you all to support those immigrant-owned business, to volunteer, to stay engaged, but also, again, to take care of yourselves. You can't build community without first taking care of yourself. It is okay to step back from the media, to step back from the fucking TikTok, to step back from the news, to reflect, to recharge, to make sure that you can take action. Do not let people pressure you into feeling like you have to be on at all fucking times, ready to fight. But just know, y'all, that when the time comes, you all best pull up. So here's what we do. We protect each other, we stay informed, we build community, and we remind ourselves every single day that we do belong here. We have survived this before, and we will survive again, but we can't do it unless we do it together. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I don't tend to talk about things of this sort on my podcast, but in all honesty, y'all, I've been incredibly overwhelmed about what's happening out there. I've talked to family, friends about what's happening out there, and they also feel incredibly overwhelmed. The attack on this community, the attack on the people who have literally built this fucking country is just inhumane. And so I feel like my way of contributing, if anything, maybe just a little bit of knowledge or a little bit of information, a little bit of help, is by making this podcast, by working on that print project. I just want to thank you all for sticking around and listening to this. If anything, just the few minutes that you've given to just situate ourselves, to just get context and situate yourself to what is happening around the country is valuable enough. So thank you all for listening to this. We have some great episodes coming up pretty soon with some awesome creatives. We'll talk more about different topics around here, but this conversation doesn't just end here. I will try as much as possible to keep talking about this on social media or in further podcast episodes. But again, I really do appreciate you all listening, and I will catch you all on the next one.